Okay, let's get into your reading, Libra. Okay, I feel very heavily that there is a person at this time that has turned their back on you. They are ignoring you. They have perhaps walked away, or there is distance between you both. Whether it's emotional or physical distance, there's definitely distance. There's definitely space. We're going to really look into absolutely everything. Now, if this does resonate with you at any point, please do like this reading, comment down below, make sure you're following me. But we're going to get into so much information and so much detail. And I have manifested that this reading would only find you if it's meant for you. So if you are here, trust that this has found you at a time where it is meant to. We're really going to have a look and see what's coming through and what I'm seeing for you. The Four of Pentacles. And we have here the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is very powerful because this person keeps everything to themselves. They are emotionally very, very unavailable, okay? This person keeps their emotions and their feelings very, very guarded. They have a wall up. And if anything, the emotional aspect here is that they don't always like to express themselves. They don't know how to always express themselves. They keep a lot to themselves. And it's like a volcano where things are just building up inside. We all know what happens to a volcano when there is a lot of pressure and buildup inside. We all know what happens. The volcano erupts. Okay. The volcano erupts. And I want to sit with this card properly for a second, okay? Because Four of Pentacles is always shown as a figure clutching four coins tightly against their body. One balanced on the head, one hugged to the chest, two pinned under their feet. Nothing is being shared. Nothing is being risked. Everything is being held with a white knuckle grip. This is a Capricorn card, okay, which is interesting because Capricorn energy is about control, structure, and rarely showing vulnerability in public. Whatever this person feels, they've built an entire personality around never letting it show. And it's worth naming that this card sits opposite the World in the deck's natural sequence, okay, which is the card of full joyful completion. The Four of Pentacles is essentially the opposite state, holding on so tightly out of fear that nothing gets to actually complete or expand. And I want to point out, okay, the figure in this card is always shown hunched, shoulders curled inward, arms wrapped tightly around the coins. It's a physically uncomfortable posture, not a relaxed one. Holding this much guard actually costs energy. It's exhausting to maintain, even if it looks like control from the outside. And I want you to hold some compassion for that exhaustion, loves, even while you're the one hurting from the distance it's creating. Both things can be true at once. You can understand why the wall exists and still deserve to not live behind it forever. Your patience isn't the same as accepting mistreatment, loves. And I want that distinction to be really clear before we move forward. Understanding someone's pain doesn't mean tolerating indefinite silence without any real end in sight. The Justice card here shows you will get justice in this situation, okay? Right now, you feel like you don't know where you stand. You don't know what's happening. They've kind of just left everything up in the air. You feel like you're in limbo land. You don't understand why this person has done this, why they've chosen to do this, what the reasoning behind it is, why they're treating you like this, and how could they treat you like this, right? Like, how would you treat me like this? And it's very overwhelming. It's very frustrating, and it's just really not nice. And one thing that I really want to say here is that you don't deserve to be treated like this, loves. Justice. But what's really interesting is that justice shows here the flip scripting. It shows here a 180-degree change, which means that right now, they're not doing a lot. They're not saying a lot. They very much got their back turned towards you. They are emotionally keeping everything to themselves. And we will also get into what they are emotionally thinking. and what they are going to do. Because one thing for sure here is that justice here shows a change. Now, the change in this situation would be them going from not doing anything to suddenly doing something. So justice here shows you will get justice in this situation. It's something you very much think about because you wonder whether you should stay or go. You wonder whether this person is really going to do anything or not. You wonder whether this person is serious or not. You wonder whether this person cares or not. And you wonder what this person is doing, right? Like you literally think to yourself, I wonder what this person is doing and why are they doing this, right? Why are they doing this? And I want to name why justice specifically is the card confirming that change, okay? Because this card is ruled by Libra, the sign that cannot tolerate imbalance for long. Whatever's currently one-sided in this situation, you carrying all the confusion, them carrying none of the accountability, Libra energy actively works to correct that. It doesn't let imbalance sit forever. And justice is always depicted holding a sword in one hand and a scale in the other, okay? The sword cuts through confusion, delivering clarity whether it's comfortable or not. The scale simply measures out what's owed fairly, eventually, to both sides. And justice always sits between two pillars, okay? Steady, symmetrical, unmoving. That stillness matters. This card doesn't rush its verdict out of impatience, but it also doesn't skip delivering it. The pillars represent structure, the promise that this will actually resolve, not just drift on forever unresolved. The Three of Pentacles and Nine of Swords. And so the clear answer here, especially with the Three of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords, is that they are very overwhelmed right now. You would find that they are very much consumed with work at this time. They are trying to bury their head in the sand with work. They are trying to focus on work. They're trying to put all of their effort, all of their energy into areas of work and finance, right? Because they don't want to deal with their emotions. This person does not like dealing with their emotions. They do not like to understand their emotions. And also, from a very young age, they've been taught not to do a lot with their emotions. Just don't be emotional. Get yourself together. Turn up. And so, that is what's happening. However, there is a pressure building up in them. You can only go so long before emotions erupt. You can only go so long in your life before things come to the surface. And that is what's happening here with the Nine of Swords, especially with their emotional state. And I want to describe this card properly, okay? Because the Nine of Swords always shows a figure sitting upright in bed, head in their hands, 9 swords mounted on the wall behind them in the dark. This is the card of the 3 a.m. spiral. The moment the mind finally has no distraction left to hide behind. The swords aren't actually attacking anyone in this image, okay? They're just hanging there. Most of what this person is suffering with is the anxiety itself, not some external real threat. It's their own thoughts circling. And it's worth noting, okay, this card carries Mercury energy in Gemini, which governs the mind and internal dialogue. The racing thoughts aren't a sign this person is falling apart. It's simply an overactive mind that hasn't yet learned how to quiet itself down safely. And I want to name something reassuring here, okay? This card doesn't actually show any wounds on the figure. No blood, no visible injury. The suffering is entirely internal, which also means it's entirely capable of being addressed once they finally stop avoiding it and actually look at it directly. And looking directly at something painful, loves, takes real courage, more than most people realize from the outside. Avoidance is actually the easier path. This person is being called toward the harder, braver one. So they're trying really hard to focus on work and not think too much about their emotions. But it will come to the surface. because it shows here that at night they feel overwhelmed when they don't have anything else to think about. They feel overwhelmed. They are constantly thinking about the situation between you both. They're constantly thinking about, what happened, what this, what that. They are constantly thinking about it. And it does very much overwhelm them. And it does very much sort of challenge them and make them feel kind of stressed. So that's what I'm really seeing here, is that just because they aren't doing anything right now doesn't mean they won't in the future, but also just trying to really paint a picture as to what's going on with them. Okay? I'm trying to paint the best picture so you can see the picture. The Two of Cups. And then we also have, those cards also did fall out. I was trying to get them to go back in, but they fell out. We have here the Two of Cups, okay? Now, the Two of Cups here shows that their feelings for you are still there. But what are they trying to do? They're trying to suppress their feelings because they are not allowed, and they have not allowed themselves to feel too much in life. If this person has been romantically connected to a person in the past, trust me, they didn't feel that much towards this person, which is why that connection progressed. The thing here is that they feel more for you than they have ever felt towards anyone else in the past. And it brings up a lot of emotions, right? And what are they not good at doing? Understanding, decoding, and acting on emotion. And so they get overwhelmed and they shut down. Okay, they shut down. What happens to a device when it gets too hot? Shuts down. What happens to something that overheats? Shuts down. It can't handle the load and the amount of what is happening temperature-wise. It literally just can't handle it. So that is kind of what's happening to them. Best analogy I can give you. Okay, of the day I have to tell you, it's the best I can really give you in terms of information. So they shut down. They feel overwhelmed. They feel stressed. They don't know how to handle things truly and overall. And I want to sit with the Two of Cups a moment longer, okay? Because this card is always shown as two figures facing each other, raising cups at the exact same height, equal mirrored, neither one above the other. Whatever confusion or distance exists right now, this card confirms it was never one-sided to begin with. This card is ruled by Cancer, okay? The sign of emotional depth and home. Whatever this becomes, once it's actually spoken out loud, it's not going to feel shallow or temporary. Cancer energy builds roots, not surface level connection. And the two figures in this card, okay, always stand close together, almost touching, with a small caduceus symbol floating between them. Two snakes wound around a staff topped with wings. That symbol represents healing and balanced exchange. The kind of energy this connection is genuinely built on, once both people can actually meet each other there. Now, the other thing as well to keep in mind is that they will realize that their feelings for you have not gone away. They will realize that you gave everything and more to them. And so over time, they start to really connect the dots in their time, in their spare time. They very much realize, oh my God, this is how I was feeling. This is what was happening. This person tends to get overwhelmed. This person can really benefit a lot from shadow work healing, loves, really a lot, okay? Now, shadow work is basically when the unconscious aspects of yourself are brought to the surface. We know, we understand them. This person doesn't know a lot of their unconscious things and why they're doing this and why they're acting this way and why they're running away. They don't know a lot of this, right? Sometimes they may not even fully understand that, oh, it's from my childhood that I wasn't allowed to be emotional, which is why I'm acting like this. But shadow work brings all of that to the surface. They then understand why they've been doing the things that they have been, why they've been acting the way that they have been and it allows the unconscious aspects of themselves to be healed. The cracks in the shadow are healed. And then in reality, they start to feel better. They start to make better decisions. They come towards you. They progress towards you. They start to do better and feel better. And it allows action to be taken. It brings more peace inside of themselves rather than stress. You see this person very, very stressed, very, very overwhelmed. But then they start to become more at peace with themselves. And so they start to take action towards you. They start to be more proactive. They start to, wow, look at that. They start to do more. As they are healed, the Hermit. And I want to bring this card in right here, okay? The Hermit. This card is exactly the phase this person is currently in, whether they realize it or not. A lone figure standing on a mountain peak, holding up a single lantern in the dark. They haven't lost the light. They're simply walking with it privately right now, one careful step at a time. The Hermit is a Virgo card, okay, which is about analysis, refinement, figuring things out internally before ever presenting them externally. This person isn't ready to show you the process yet, but the process is genuinely happening. And I want to note, okay, the Hermit's lantern is often shown containing a six-pointed star, the seal of Solomon, representing wisdom that comes from within rather than from outside validation. Whatever this person is working through, they're not doing it to impress anyone. They're doing it because something inside them actually wants to change. The Star, and after the Hermit, okay, comes the Star. This is the card of what happens after the healing work actually lands. A figure kneeling beside water, pouring from two jugs, one onto the land, one into the pool, nourishing both the visible and the hidden parts of a person at the same time. This is hope restored, okay? After a season that felt genuinely dark, whatever this person goes through internally, the Star confirms it ends somewhere brighter, not somewhere worse. And one detail worth naming, okay, there's always exactly 8 stars in the sky above this figure, 7 small ones and 1 large. The large star represents the self. The smaller 7 represent everything else finally falling into supportive alignment around that self once it's actually been healed enough to hold steady. This card is ruled by Aquarius, okay, the sign of the future and genuine individual growth. The star never asks anyone to go back to who they were before. It always points forward toward a version of this person that hasn't fully existed yet, but is already forming. So that's why shadow work really helps so much. And the other amazing piece is the full body chakra system, okay? Because it helps to understand every single energy center, which is responsible for something different. So, for example, the throat chakra is to do with communication. So once that opens up properly, they can communicate properly towards you. Once the crown chakra is clear, they are thinking, more clearly, they're feeling better, not as stressed. Also, heart chakra, once that opens, they start to be more open towards receiving and giving love rather than being closed off. Solar plexus, once that clears, they start to feel so much more positive, uplifted, less stressed, less overwhelmed, and so forth with all the other centers like the third eye, the sacral, and the root, and start to feel better, start to feel stronger. I don't know how to say what I feel. And this message card, okay, this is coming straight from them, their own private, unspoken thought. I don't know how to say what I feel. That's the actual block, okay? Not a lack of feeling, a lack of language for it. I'm scared of losing you by being honest. And this one explains the walking away, okay? I'm scared of losing you by being honest, which sounds backwards, right? Because the silence is what's already creating the distance. But in their head, okay, silence feels safer than saying the wrong thing and making it worse. You deserve someone who isn't afraid. And I want you to really hear that one, loves, because it's not asking you to walk away. It's simply reminding you what you're worth while you wait. And this last one, okay, this one's actually for you. Not everyone who avoids emotional vulnerability turns out this way, loves. Some people simply stay guarded forever, never doing the work. This card confirms that isn't the path this specific person is on. You deserve someone who isn't afraid. And I want to say this card isn't telling you to leave. It's simply naming the truth, okay? So you don't quietly settle for less than that while you wait. Six of Swords. And one more card here. Okay, the Six of Swords. This card shows a boat carrying passengers away from choppy water toward a calmer, quieter shore. It's a card of transition, moving away from turmoil, slowly. Not dramatically. This is exactly the movement happening internally for this person right now, okay? A slow, quiet passage away from the overwhelm and towards something steadier. It's not instant. It never is with this card. But the direction of travel is already set. And one detail worth naming, okay, the water in this card always sits noticeably calmer on the far side of the boat than it does near the passengers. The roughest part of the crossing is actually right where they currently are, not somewhere further out. Which means the hardest part of this transition, emotionally speaking, is likely already behind them, not still ahead. So, right, there is as well the sense here, right? That this person is someone that has the ability to grow. The good news here is that this is not a completely closed off person that cannot grow. This is a person that will grow. This is a person that will get stronger. And I want to sit with that word growth for a second, loves, because it isn't the same as forcing someone to change against their will. This reading isn't telling you to fix them. It's telling you that the capacity for change already exists in them, which is a very different thing from you having to manufacture it yourself. You don't have to fix them, loves. You don't have to teach them how to feel. And you certainly don't have to shrink your own needs down small enough to fit around their silence. The growth is theirs to do. Your only job in all of this, loves, is deciding how long you're willing to wait for it and holding that boundary with real self-respect. Whatever you decide that timeline to be, this is a person that will progress. They just need healing, loves. And healing, in this specific case, doesn't mean starting from nothing. It means finally giving language to feelings that have existed the whole time, but never had anywhere safe to go. And maybe that safe place, loves, finally, is the two of you together. But that's not something you can force, loves, or rush. You can only stay open to it while continuing to take care of yourself in the meantime. You're allowed to hope for this, loves, fully, while still living your own life completely, not shrinking it down to fit around waiting. Go on the trip, loves. Laugh with your friends. Focus on your own goals. None of that gets in the way of this reading unfolding. If anything, it makes you exactly the kind of person this reading describes them finally choosing. Someone whole, loves. Someone steady. Not someone standing still, waiting anxiously by a phone. And I think that's the truest, gentlest note to end on, loves. You get to keep living. Keep growing, keep being exactly who you already are, while this unfolds at its own pace, in its own time. Okay, loves? That's the reading. I really hope this helps. Wherever you're watching this from, loves, take care of yourself tonight. You're doing better than you think you are. And this reading, loves, confirms exactly that. the Ace of Cups, and this card confirms exactly what's waiting on the other side of that healing. Okay, a single hand emerging from a cloud, holding a cup that's overflowing, 5 streams of water pouring out of it, doves circling peacefully above. This is a brand new emotional beginning, okay? Not a repeat of old guarded patterns. Once this person actually does the work, this is the freshness that's waiting for them. And for you, this card is often paired with Scorpio in deeper readings, okay? Because Scorpio energy governs transformation and rebirth. Whatever this person buries or avoids right now, Scorpio energy eventually forces it to the surface anyway. And what comes out the other side tends to be far more powerful than what went in. And that's exactly what this reading is describing, loves. Not a small gradual improvement, but a genuine transformation. The kind that changes how someone shows up in every relationship going forward, not just this one. Which means whoever they become on the other side of this, loves, you get to actually experience the healed version, not just glimpses of it in between long stretches of silence. And I think that's the most significant thing that I can tell you from this reading, okay? Once the healing happens, they are on it. They take action. They feel their feelings. They decode it. They understand it. They're not scared of being emotional. They express their feelings. They actually take action. They pursue. And also, they make invitations. Let's go here. Let's go there. I would like to be with you. And I want you to picture that specific version of them, loves. Not the guarded, silent version you're dealing with right now. Someone who actually names what they want out loud, plainly, instead of leaving you to guess at it. How do you feel about this, Actually taking action, being proactive, and making things happen, and making things work, which is very, very beautiful, loves, and worth actually waiting for, rather than settling for the guarded, silent version simply because it's what's familiar right now. The Knight of Cups. And this is exactly the energy this card confirms, okay? A knight who rides carefully, holding his cup level, not spilling a drop. This is the card of a real, considered romantic offer, not a rushed, impulsive one. Once this person heals, this is exactly how they'll approach you, thoughtfully, deliberately, with something real to say, not empty words. This knight is water sign energy too, okay? Pisces specifically, the most romantic and imaginative sign of the entire zodiac. Whatever they eventually say, it won't be plain or generic. It'll carry real thought, the kind of gesture where you can feel the effort behind it. And once that offer actually comes, loves, you'll be able to feel the difference between someone finally speaking honestly and someone simply saying what they think you want to hear. Real thought behind words lands differently than performance does. And I want to point out something about this knight's posture, okay? He's the only knight in the whole deck, riding at a walk rather than a gallop or a trot. There's no urgency here, no rushing to impress. It's steady, measured movement, which fits exactly with someone who's finally figured out how to hold their feelings without spilling them everywhere. The 10 of Cups. And this is where this whole story could actually land, okay? If the healing takes root the way this spread suggests it will, a whole family standing together under a rainbow, arms raised, not a small temporary happiness, but a whole life built on real understanding instead of avoidance. This card is ruled by Jupiter, okay? The planet of expansion and abundance. Whatever forms here, once the healing actually takes hold, it doesn't just stay small. It keeps growing year after year, rather than plateauing. 10 cups, okay? Arranged in the sky like a rainbow above the family below. The highest number in the entire suit of cups. There's genuinely nowhere higher to go emotionally from here, because this represents the ceiling of what fulfillment actually looks like in this deck, which is very, very beautiful and very, very powerful. And it really brings everything to the table and the picture in the best way. And before the final message, I want to leave a few things to actually hold on to, okay? The first, their silence right now is not the whole story. The Four of Pentacles showed real fear underneath it, not indifference. And I want you to remember that distinction whenever this feels hardest, loves, because it's easy to read silence as not caring. This reading is telling you plainly that's not what's actually happening here. The second, watch for the shift from avoidance to action. Justice showed that 180-degree change is coming. Not staying frozen forever. Look for small shifts before the big one, okay? A slightly longer reply than usual, a message sent at an unusual hour, a mention of something they normally wouldn't bring up. The Six of Swords doesn't move all at once. It moves in small, steady increments first. And I want to be honest, loves, it might take longer than you'd like. Healing rarely moves at the pace we'd prefer it to. But slow doesn't mean it isn't happening. And slow doesn't mean it won't actually arrive. Use this time for yourself too, loves. Not just as a waiting room. Whatever peace you can build for yourself right now, independent of what they choose to do, that peace is yours to keep regardless of the outcome. The third, when they do finally reach out, notice whether it's the Knight of Cups energy, considered real, honest, or just another version of the same avoidance dressed up differently. You'll be able to feel the difference. Real accountability sounds like naming what happened plainly, okay? I went quiet because I was overwhelmed, not because I didn't care. Avoidance dressed up as honesty usually sounds vaguer than that. More excuses stacked together than an actual admission. Trust your gut here. It usually knows before your mind fully catches up. It's not you, it's the wall I built. And one more message card here, okay? Straight from them again. It's not you, it's the wall I built. And I want you to really let that land, okay? Because so much of the hurt in this situation came from feeling like something about you caused this. This card confirms plainly you did nothing to deserve this silence, okay? And I want that stated as clearly as possible before we move any further. This is entirely about a wall that existed long before you ever arrived. Built from years of being taught to hide feeling rather than share it. You inherited a pattern, loves, that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with how they were shaped long before they ever met you. And I want to answer one more thing, okay, why this reached you now with this much detail. You needed to see the actual shape of what's happening in them, not just the surface silence, so that whatever you decide to do next, you're deciding with the full picture, not a guess. And I want to speak to the small, doubting part of you for a second, okay? The one quietly wondering if this is just wishful thinking. 11 cards pulled in one spread, every single one telling the same underlying story. Fear, not indifference. That consistency isn't coincidence. I don't pull 11 cards agreeing with each other by accident, okay? And I wouldn't tell you this with this much confidence if the energy behind it wasn't genuinely strong. Just for tonight. Set that doubt down. This is already in motion. Okay, the Four of Pentacles showed the wall, built from fear, not coldness. The Three of Pentacles and Nine of Swords showed the overwhelm underneath the silence. The Two of Cups confirmed the feelings never left. The Hermit showed the private healing already beginning. The Star confirmed it leads somewhere brighter. And Justice confirmed the change is already turning. The Six of Swords and Ace of Cups confirmed a quiet passage away from turmoil towards something new and steadier, once the hardest part of this crossing is behind them. So let's bring this together, okay? Slowly, So it actually settles. The Four of Pentacles confirmed real emotional unavailability, built from a wall, not a lack of feeling. Justice confirmed a real change is coming. 180-degree shift from silence to action. The Three of Pentacles and Nine of Swords confirm genuine overwhelm. Work as an escape from emotion, anxiety at night when there's nothing left to distract them with. The Two of Cups confirmed their feelings for you never actually left. The message cards confirmed the real block. I don't know how to say what I feel. I'm scared of losing you by being honest. You deserve someone who isn't afraid. The Hermit and the Star confirmed real healing already quietly underway, loves. Not a distant fantasy, but something genuinely in motion right now. And the Knight of Cups and Ten of Cups confirmed where this could actually lead. A real considered offer and a whole life built on understanding. And the message cards confirmed the actual private words behind all of it. Loves. I don't know how to say what I feel. I'm scared of losing you by being honest. It's not you, it's the wall I built. And you deserve someone who isn't afraid. One message, loves. They haven't stopped feeling. They've simply stopped knowing how to say it. And I want to leave you with one final thought, okay, before we close completely. Months from now, maybe far sooner than that, you're going to look back on this exact reading, the one where you sat here wondering if any of this was real, and you're going to feel real relief at how much you worried. The way we always do once life quietly answers the questions we were too afraid to ask out loud. If this resonated, like this reading, comment down below and let me know what hit hardest. I genuinely read through these, and I'd love to know how this actually landed for you, loves. Whether it matched what you already suspected, or whether some of it caught you off guard entirely. Save this reading if it resonated, okay? Because I know sometimes it takes a few weeks for a reading like this one to actually start showing itself in real life. Having it saved somewhere means you can come back to it later and notice the small signs when they finally start appearing. Make sure you're following me, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye, loves.